So will the Prime Minister acknowledge he has failed? He has to quit.
The pressure is growing for the Prime Minister with that promise from the NDP to topple the government with a non-confidence vote. The news coming just as cabinet shuffle was getting underway. 8 new ministers were sworn in and 4 others saw changes to their jobs. And while those ministers answered questions, the Prime Minister dodged the biggest one. Will he resign? Trudeau did not address Canadians at Rideau Hall. Instead, cabinet ministers were left to try and explain where he went. That's where Ashley Burke begins our coverage tonight.
He's left you alone in the cold. Where is he?
The Prime Minister missing in action, leaving his newly minted ministers to do the talking.
The Prime Minister is not here today to answer questions and address Canadians. My questions for each of you, what do you make of that?
We were just with him inside and had some great conversation as to the work that we have ahead of us.
Justin Trudeau is speaking to Liberals, but not to Canadians, leaving them in the dark about his future and his cabinet fielding questions only he can answer.
What assurances has the Prime Minister given you that he will stay on until the next election?
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is currently facing significant political challenges that have intensified in recent days, and to lose power.
Opposition parties back it. Trudeau will be out of office after more than 9 years, and an election would take place. Trudeau's government was plunged into crisis after Chrystia Freeland, the previous finance minister, resigned in the midst of a policy clash over spending. About 20 Liberal legislators are openly calling for him to step down. The crisis is unfolding at a critical time. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump is due to take office on January 20th and is promising to impose a 25% tariff on all imports, which would badly hurt Canada's economy. Trudeau's Liberal Party has already been suffering from voter fatigue and anger over high prices and a housing crisis. A string of polls over the last year and a half show Trudeau's Liberals would be badly beaten by the opposition Conservatives. They've been calling for an election for months.
Justin Trudeau breaks days of public silence. Remarks, terse. Questions taken, none. His future, clear as mud. But tonight, that future is the story Canadians want figured out, and the plot definitely thickened.
What is clear is that Justin Trudeau does not have the confidence of Parliament.
Pierre Poilievre spoke for Conservatives, but referenced the Bloc, some Liberals, and new support from the NDP. It says it's done propping the Liberals up. Now it will vote them out.
It's time that we all get on the same track.
This is a time for unity.
We absolutely support the Prime Minister.
All of it on a day members of a new cabinet say their focus is policy. But will that last months, weeks, or just days? This political page-turner isn't written yet.
I think the Prime Minister was quite clear that he has a choice that he's reflecting on.
On Monday, Trudeau privately told his caucus he'd reflect after some of his own MPs told him to resign, upset about how he tried to replace Chrystia Freeland as finance minister, leading to her stunning resignation.
It was very disturbing to hear what happened on Monday.
Ever since Trudeau's only addressed 2 private Liberal events.
Will you step aside, sir?
While ministers entered the front door at Rideau Hall, Trudeau showed up inside at his cabinet shuffle after using a different entrance away from the cameras. That same hour, the NDP's leader released a letter saying the Liberals don't deserve another chance. That's why the NDP will vote to bring this government down, but didn't say when.
The chaotic clown show.
The Conservatives now calling for Parliament to be recalled from holiday break.
We have a guy here who has lost control of everything, and yet he clings to power.
At the end of a long week, Trudeau finally made his first public statement.
Prime Minister, are you going to step down?
Since the crisis began.
We just had an excellent cabinet meeting that was almost entirely focused on the Canada-US dynamic.
The Prime Minister trying to make the government look like it's in control during a tumultuous time.
Are you done reflecting?
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Will you stay or will you go, sir?
Trudeau wouldn't answer any questions or address his future, leaving what everyone still wants to know hanging. Will he resign?
Yeah, that question is in the balance. So, Ashley, what happens now?
Well, sources say the Prime Minister is going to take the holiday to reflect, and that isn't sitting well with some of his MPs. More than 20 have now come out publicly urging him to step down. One today said that after the week that just unfolded, it was incumbent on Trudeau to acknowledge what happened and share the direction he's headed, but that didn't happen.
All right, Ashley Burke, thank you. CBC News chief political correspondent Rosemary Barton is here. Rosie, what do we know about the Prime Minister's current thinking on his future?
Ashley, he's still very much, we're told anyway, processing what's been the most difficult political crisis of his career. Again, we know he was blindsided, certainly, by Christian Freeland's.
This pressure is really adding up. Over 50 Liberal members of Parliament from Ontario have urged Trudeau to resign public dissatisfaction with Trudeau's leadership is evident, with approval rating declining due to economic issues such as rising in inflation, housing shortage, and unemployment. So this is what is truly going on in Canada, and Canadians are not happy about Trudeau. What do you think about this?
Inside the Liberal caucus, Asha, there's also now these external factors he can't control. All opposition parties are now on the same page, saying an election is needed, which means that even if he were to decide to stay on, he'd be facing an election this spring at some point or another. And